Welcome back to TechNet Radio. It's IT time, and in today's episode, Blain Barton welcomes SQL Server DBAs Bonnie Allard and Scott Gleason. Listen in as they discuss their experiences with SQL Server, how they are using it in the real world, as well as some must-use features in SQL Server 2008 R2. Blain, the mic is yours.
Welcome to IT Time. I'm your host, Blain Barton, a senior IT pro evangelist with Microsoft. And today with me I have two special guests, two SQL DBAs, Scott Gleason. How you doing, Scott?
Doing good. Thanks for having me.
Good. And Bonnie Allard. Welcome, Bonnie.
Thank you.
So what we want to do is do a little interview around some of the SQL skills that you have and what you're doing in the workplace from a real world perspective. So what I'd like to do is maybe start with Scott. And maybe Scott can tell us a little bit about himself.
Sure. Thanks, Blaine. I'm a Microsoft DBA. I became a DBA about 10 years ago. I was trying to carry too many skill sets at a small company, doing network administration, programming, was just getting into SQL 2000. And it just got to be one of those things where I had to kind of choose one of the technologies and really immerse myself into it. So I ended up choosing SQL Server. And for the past 9 years, I've kind of been working mid-sized medical companies in Florida. And right now, I've got a tremendous job with tech systems. I'm a database manager on site for a Fortune 100 financial company that I'm not allowed to mention at this point.
All right, that's fair enough. So I'm kind of interested, how did you get started in IT, especially with SQL Server?
It goes back way before SQL Server. Back in 1980, my father bought a VIC-20 for the house, and that was back in the days when personal computers were just starting to come out. And still to this day, my father's involved with technology. Actually, my brother is actually a Microsoft DBA in Houston, Texas, and it's just something that we ended up doing.
That's excellent. That's excellent. Yeah, I was always wondering how people got started in the field, and got into SQL, and because SQL is kind of a hybrid, it's like in between kind of IT pro and developer. They're a certain breed. But really, I'd like to know a little bit more about, what do you do in your job on a day-to-day basis?
I kind of have a very interesting position. I'm actually a working manager. So I've got my own database projects that I need to take care of, and I've got a team of 8 DBAs that I have to help them with their projects as well. We are on site with the client, so we have to follow the client rules. So it's kind of a hybrid role of 1/3 you need to be a senior DBA, 1/3 your communication skill set, being able to interact with people across the United States. And 1/3 of that is your ability to self-manage and determine best practices, have drive, be a go-getter. Honestly, I haven't worked at anything this hard since I left an aircraft carrier.
Well, that's interesting,
but again,
too.
Yeah, don't take that as me complaining. I really like it. I like helping people. I really enjoy my role.
I'm assuming you're working with SQL Server 2008 or 2008 R2. Can you kind of tell me a little bit more about what you're specializing in as far as on the SQL DBA side for products?
For right now, we have 2005 for the client. 2005 just went out of scope, so you need to get a waiver in order to use 2005 anymore. We're currently immersed with 2005 existing systems. There's still a couple pockets of SQL 2000, believe it or not, that's got some very complex, custom-written applications, so it's very difficult for the client to get off of that. We're looking forward now to going to SQL 2008 R2, and there's a pocket of us that are already got our hands on Denali. In our spare time, we're trying to play around with that. But so kind of to answer your question directly, the Fortune 100 company does a really good job of dividing roles and responsibilities, and the one that I'm in right now is a production DBA. So we're actually trying to look at look at how we can leverage the file stream capability, which is new in 2008, to help protect some sensitive documents that the client has. So if you're not really that familiar with file stream, it's actually a way to have your SQL Server keep an eye on a container that holds blobs. So most of us can revert back to when in 2000 it was kind of cool that we had pictures in our database, and then it turned out that really wasn't good for everyone. It was hard to back up. There was some latency issues getting the data in and out with that. So Microsoft has given us something now where SQL 2008 can actually watch and kind of be a comp to, and I'm going to use this term very loosely, a file share, so that users cannot accidentally delete or overwrite or change whatever that file is without going through SQL Server. So that's an area there that we're seriously taking a look into. One of the nice things is that being with a Fortune 100 company, and I'm not rubbing this into anybody's nose, believe me, I come out of mid-sized company background, having Microsoft support on site. So guys like Chef Shepherd, being able to go to them and not reinvent the wheel, actually talk to, if we've got to go that far, Chef Shepherd has the ability to get some very detailed answers to bring back to us, so we don't reinvent the wheel, we don't spin our wheels, waste any time.
Yeah, that's important to be able to leverage the resources that you have at your arsenal, so to speak, to get the job done. So that's great, and I guess we'll store our pictures in SharePoint, right?
I'm going to leave that to the SharePoint admins to make the decision on.
So I'm curious, Scott, really looking at future plans to expand or maybe pilot or roll out some of the new technologies. What are you currently looking at today?
So one of the things we're really excited about taking a gander into a little mini project is that in Denali we've got the always-on feature, which loosely translated is now we're able to mirror from one publisher to multiple subscribers. One of the situations that my client has a problem with is when they're trying to pull massive amounts of data, 14 terabyte, out of an AS400 on a nightly system and get that data passed down. Not to say that the client is not interested in BI, but I'm sure everybody that is a DBA does understand that you've got some legacy applications laying around that you really just can't change on the fly without spending a lot of time and a lot of money. So one of the features we really want to take a look at is that always on, so we can have failover at different sites and we can move the data to multiple subscribers with that a lot faster instead of doing one hop to one hop to one hop between servers.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, thanks for sharing your insight with what you're doing at Tech Systems and some of your experiences with SQL Server and the VIC-20, getting started in IT. Thanks for your time. I'm going to move over now to Bonnie. Hi, Bonnie.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, my name is Bonnie Allard, and I've been in the industry for 11 years. I started out as a help desk support person, and I quickly learned that I could do quick support and make changes through the database. So whether or not, I'm supposed to do it, I could fix things real fast. I could also make things broken, And from there, I went to a large credit union, and I worked there for over 6 years. And I did, like Scott, I did everything. It was application support, end to end. I was like the end level, escalation. And I wound up, doing network support. I was just everywhere. The biggest over the past couple of years was a VoIP, deployments and Cisco and all that. And all the while, I kept narrowing my scope into SQL. So for the past 3 years, I started attending SQL Saturdays and just really narrowing my knowledge into that. And And I would come back, from conferences with ideas, but of course you never have time to implement because, the phones are down or something like that.
Sure.
So,
Sure.
Fortunately, I just recently was hired on to another company as a DBA where my sole job is database administration, Microsoft SQL, and that's it. And I'm real excited about it. I haven't been there that long. We have, and I don't really even have like a whole bunch of information about the environment. That's how new I am. But I do know that there's, maintenance plans, backup strategies, a lot of things that need to improve. And of course, there's always the upgrade, and like Scott was saying, there's pockets of 2000 everywhere. I actually interviewed with some other companies, and I was surprised that it was pretty much, a standard idea that they all wanted to try to get their applications off of 2000 and get them onto, 2008, R2, and they wanted to, upgrade and have all the advanced features. One of the features that I've just started to research about is the backup compression. So that's a big, plus. So that's a big, plus. And then there was another one.
Plus.
Yes. So, especially when you're dealing with other applications such as, that have huge databases, SharePoint, and so on.
Sure.
Hey, Bonnie,
yeah.
I got a question for you.
Yes.
Have you run into any of using the and this is another feature that's new in SQL 2008, the data compression within the database. Have you implemented that yet?
Not yet. That's on my list. I just got this huge list of all these things that that I'm going to be taking over. So
okay.
So I'm going to be calling you.
Yeah, there you go. Drinking from the fire hose, huh? That's always good.
That's right.
That's the life of a DBA. I've got some white papers to share with you. Give me a call later.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, and I was just researching the file streaming too. Funny that you were talking about that. That was and when you're doing DBA work, there's several approaches. You can be the meanie, who just won't talk to anybody and won't, just enforces all the rules, or you can kind of like get to know what everybody needs, and I'm seeing that that's a better approach, because a lot of times your people dealing with their applications, they don't know that their queries, are rotten.
Yeah, it's funny. That's great. I mean, to share, your experiences, and it's always great to see, women in IT as well, and all your experiences in the years you've had with around SQL Server. That's great. I reached out to you guys. I met you at SQL Saturday here a few months back, and thought I'd engage with you and learn a little bit about what you're doing with SQL and have you on my show here with IT Time. So with that, I want to thank Scott. So thanks, Scott. And more importantly, Bonnie, great having you on the show. So with that, thank you everybody for attending this short broadcast, Internet Radio for IT Time. And I'm Blain Barton, Senior IT Pro Evangelist with Microsoft. Thank you.